Okay, so I want to quickly cover Cucumber framework topic, which is you will end up using it basically. Okay, so there is a concept called Cucumber hooks. Okay, so let's see what it is. So essentially, Cucumber hooks are nothing but let's say you want to take some action before you run your automation test. Basically, so you have find a test, but before you run it, you want to take some action. Maybe go to the database and execute the database script, or clean out the database from the previous run, and you want to reload your data. So you can do that before you run any test, right? So that's one scenario. A second scenario, for every scenario, you want to take some action, or maybe for specific scenarios, you want to take some action before you run and after you run. Okay, so those actions you can do using the hooks, basically. And hooks is nothing but a Ruby code. So if you have a database code that you want to execute, that execute a bunch of SQL scripts and loads your database, you can create a Cucumber hook and put it in there. Or if you have any errors that's happening, let's say you want to run a scenario, for every scenario, if there is any error, you want to capture it and put it in a log file. Because if something fails, then you want to capture the error and put it in the log file. So that's where you can apply the scenario hooks. So there are two types of hooks available. Okay. So let's see, there are global hooks and scenario hooks. Okay, so there is a global hook is run once before you run any test. And if you want to clear out database values or load it or whatever you want to do, you can put it in the global hook. And so scenario hooks, it will run before and after. Before everything, any scenario is executed, and after you can run those Ruby code.
But global is only once.
Yeah, global is only once. That is correct. Yeah. This is add exit can be used for global teardown. This is add exit, global teardown. Okay, so that's where you can do it. Generally, for the hooks, you can put it in the env.rb file. So you can create a env.rb file in the support folder and put your global hooks at exit, and it will clear out. You can put the code regarding the Ruby database interaction, and it will wipe out all the values at the end. Exit it at the end. Okay. Before hooks, so scenario has two types of hooks: before hooks and after hooks. Okay, before and after. So this is how you can specify the hooks, basically. Before do, and then you want to perform some action, and then end, because it's a Ruby code. So you have to follow the naming, basically syntax for specifying the hooks. And I'll show you examples, so it will be more clear. But let me just get you some concept here. Now, before has two types of things here, right? Before do scenario. So scenario is optional. This parameter is optional. Okay, but you can specify something like this as well. Before do, perform actions before all scenarios. Right. Okay. And
that means the before do is same like the global one.
No, this is for scenario. Every scenario, before it runs a scenario, so you have find a scenarios before every scenario, this hook will be executed.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now see, but it comes in the two flavors. So before do with the optional parameter as a scenario, optional argument as a scenario. Okay. So there are two ways you can specify it. Yeah. And I'll show you examples, so it will make a little bit more clear what the usage of scenario, how do we capture certain things from there. So you can specify multiple before do's in your hooks file. So there is an order that it runs as well. So this is order is here. So let's say you have 1, 2, and 3 in this example. You have 1, 2, and 3 before do's specified. So it will run the whatever order you have specified, it will execute one by one.
There is no
All
restriction there.
What?
You can do multiple times.
Yeah, you can do multiple times. Yeah, before do's, after do, same way.
Oh.
But this one runs before do, runs first one, it will run second one, then third one. So top to bottom type of thing. Okay. Yeah, I'm recording. So any question on the before do? Okay, so conceptually it's clear, right? Where you put it in the hooks.rb file, and you can specify as many before do's as you want, and it runs before every scenario. So all three will be executed before you run any scenario in this example. Okay, after hooks. So after hooks will run after last step of each scenario. So your scenario is complete, and now you can run after do's. Again, you can specify something similar way. After do scenario is optional as well, keyword. Now, the important difference is they will run in the opposite order as registered. So before do runs, top one, second one, the after do runs the bottom one first.
Third, second, first.
Yeah, third, second, first,
Okay.
opposite order. Okay. So here, this one will run first, this one will run second, and this one will run third. Okay, any question conceptually?
So that is env.rb file.
Don't worry about that, we will talk a little bit later, but this is hooks.rb.
Yeah, when with the example, I think it will be clear.
So let me come to the example here. I think we are at this point. So let's take a look at it, see what we have. So I'm going to open my RubyMine. Okay, so what I have done is, so in the support folder, right? You can have hooks.rb, you can create it as simple as like just saying a new file, and you can name it at hooks.rb, and that one will create your file. Okay, here in this file, I have before do, there are 2 before do's that I have, right? Now here, since if you pass the scenario, you can use the information from the scenario definition as well, basically. Okay, so that information will be available in your hooks. So here I'm just printing out the scenario.name. What scenario it is getting executed. That's all I'm printing out. But again, this one will run first. This one will run second. So if I say before do will be printed out first, this one scenario name will be printed out second when I execute any scenario. Okay. Now after do, I have the similar way. After the example, after do has a scenario optional. Now if I have the scenario here, then I can do, if scenario, put some additional logic here. If scenario failed, so there are additional things available. Okay, there are a bunch of methods available. Just because it's object. Scenario is a parameter, but again, it's a class object as well. So you can use a bunch of things from there, but most commonly used is whether the scenario is failed or not. So you can check it. If it's failed, then you want to capture the exception, scenario.exception.message. Okay, so what I'm doing is, whatever the error message is, I'm printing it out on the screen. Now here, otherwise I'm just printing out, hey, scenario is passed. But technically you can put this in the log file. So you can create a log file, your exception log file, and just dump out all these error messages basically in there. That's how we typically do it. So you can write additional code to write to a file, open a file, write your error message, and be done with it. So you can go to one place to see all the error messages, and you can put the scenario.name as well. So you can see what basically So I can have both scenario.name, or you can say scenario.name plus is failed with error, right? Plus this. So that way you will know, okay, this scenario failed with this error and this one was the error message.
You are not telling that how to log file that.
So that is a log file. So log file, there is additional coding that you have to do. Log file means any file, any text file where you are keeping because while it's running, right, you cannot be monitoring all this error messages because it's running on a server. You may not even have access. So what the general programming we do is you create a separate log file, which can be anything, maybe error.log or something like that. And you dump out, open the file in your code, and you write the error messages over there, basically, one per specific file. So there is a file interaction. If you are interested in picking that up, then you can just Google it, how to write, how to write to a file using Ruby. Okay, and then you will find plenty of examples, read-write files in Ruby with examples. Okay, and how to read a file, how to write to a file. So if I go here, open the file in the write mode, use the write method to create data to the file, and if you use, so this is one way you can write it, file.open. So again, you have to follow the syntax, okay, for writing. Okay, now you can write it in the append mode. So write, again, this is not a complete code here, but you can see the example. Okay, the complete code is here. Okay, give me a second. Why it's keep going up? Okay. So here, renaming your file. So there are a bunch of methods available for the file, where you want to store it and all those things. This is additional programming. Again, you have to do, basically, you can look through directories. Any programming language, you can do all kind of interaction, file operations, and so forth. You just Google the code and dump it in, basically. Okay. So this is a way basically you can do it, but you have to spend some time to write the code. Okay, because your stuff may not be exactly same as other folks are doing. Okay, so that would be additional code here. You can write it maybe 5 lines of code or 10 lines of code, depending on where is your file and what you want to do. But here I'm just showing you conceptually, you can put that in. You can grab the message, and now additional coding would be write it to the file or email, maybe email somebody, right? Any error that's coming in, you can write email this error to somebody. Hey, this scenario has failed, just notify somebody. And again, you can Google that code here, send email in Ruby programming. Okay, so send email using API. Again, depending on the email program that you are sending with, like Google or your Microsoft Exchange or Office 365, you will have different things, but you can use built-in SMTP libraries, gems, to write it. So let's see, there's a sample code here. So I'm gonna just show you quickly. Use Ruby. You need a SMTP server using a standard Ruby gem like XML and so forth. Okay, but this would be the code here. Let's see if they have any code here. So they have created a class user mailer, which inherits from the application mailer. So application mailer is most likely a gem. I'm going to install. What is the name? You have to type in exact name, application mailer. Okay, so I'm coming here. And I'll say, so first you need to install the gem. Let's see if it's there. Okay, so it's not in the repository. So it's not the name they are using here. Bean Rails, let's see if they have installation part. But generally, all these gems are available, so you can install using gem install, whatever the libraries are.
So when we'll do this, Harshal, after getting the error?
No, when you are writing the code,
Yeah.
you want to capture the error. Generally, I mean, once you get some exposure, that's where I think you will use it. But companies most likely have their own frameworks. So they will already say, okay, use this code to go to call the basically send email. So they will create libraries, basically. They generally have all these libraries as part of the framework in the companies.
Okay.
And you just use that method or create a class and then say send mail, basically. Whatever method they have. Okay.
So we
Okay.
install gem installer, that means you are telling if it is present in the library or not.
No. So when I say, so it will go from the public, like we capture all the Cucumber jam
Correct.
or Selenium water. So it is on the basically Ruby. So you can see here, it says this particular jam is not there.
So gem means the library, right?
Gem is a library, yeah. So you just need to download it. So it's available in your code without, and you can just start using it right after that. Because it's open source, right?
Hmm.
So it's open source, so there is no restriction or license or anything else. But it says here, this particular library is not there. So we just need to see what library is available for the email or for the Ruby. But companies generally have their own libraries. Okay, most of the companies they have that, they don't want to use, so you just use that. They will make it available as a code in your. Okay. Okay, so in the same file, so right now I have how many hooks I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have at exit do, which is a fifth. This one runs at the end of everything is run. You can put some database code and so forth. Again, database code, you can just Google it, right? Ruby database script execution code or something like that, right? So you will see basically database code as well, interaction. So I'm just going here, not the tutorials point. Let's see. So there is a SQL jam, there is a DBI command. So DBI one, I know it's there. Install DBI. You can say DBI. Okay, so there is a database interaction. DBI is nothing but database interaction. So you can interact with any database. It says I already have it installed. You might already have it installed. Maybe I installed it earlier, the DBI. But you can find the same type of scripts online. How to execute. Let's see here, how to capture. Okay, let's see if they have the code here. SQL command in Ruby.
We can write down SQL in Ruby also.
Yeah, you can execute queries. So how to execute SQL queries from Ruby. I think I saw it, right? This one, you can do pretty much anything that you can do in Java. Okay. I'm just trying to see here. Okay, so here, this is a Ruby program. Okay, so requires SQLite 3. So it uses this library. So if you don't have it, you can simply say gem install SQLite 3. Okay, and it will find this library. SQLite. Okay, I typed in wrong. Not 2 L's. SQLite. Let's see. So now it's fetching the gems. Okay, so it's fetching all this library. Now you have the library. Now you can write the code. So what it's doing is, this is again, remember, this is a module. So this is just like a water, right? So you guys can see it. I just want to make sure. You guys can see it, this line?
Yes, Harshal, we can see. Yeah.
You guys can see it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so just like a water WebDriver, we are initiating, this is a SQLite module, okay? And then there is a database object and there is a .new and saying what database you want to initiate connection to. Okay, and then once the connection is initiated, it is in this variable, right? That connection, then you can now execute whatever command you want to.
Test.db is the database name.
Test.db is database name. Yep, in this example. Okay. Now you can execute, this is a prepare command, and then you have executing the command. This line will execute actually the SQL statement.
What prepare will do?
Prepare will prepare the command, it will compile it when you are executing it, and that's all. It doesn't actually execute the command. Again, you have to follow the syntax because each driver, this is a SQLite syntax, so they have prepare command. So generally what I have seen is in the Access database, if you are connecting, you are using the prepare command. So it compiles the SQL statement, make sure there are no errors. Okay, that's what it does. But here question mark represents a parameter. Okay, this is a parameter, and then you are assigning binding the parameter, this ID with 1. So you are replacing the parameter. You have to follow the syntax. Every driver will have its own syntax. Okay, so that's what it is, and then its execution part is here. So when you do this, it will actually go and execute this command, and the results are stored here in the RS. And then you can iterate through or look through whatever you need to do. If your goal is to delete everything, then just write delete commands. Delete from table, whatever
So
table.
here we are going to use SQL.
Well, yeah, you if you need to.
Mhm.
If you don't have to, then you don't have to, right? Only if you need to. I'm just showing you how you can call a database, basically. But you have to write this 5 piece of line of code.
Okay.
In the same way, you can write it here. Generally, companies will provide you their own libraries.
Yeah.
Okay. So that you just call or create the object and call the method to delete out the database tables data. Okay, but again, as I said, programming is a big world. You have to keep working through it. Look at different examples and try to implement it. See if it works. Okay, and you might have to might throw you some syntax error, but don't be afraid because that's how it will work with everything else. Okay, so now let's see what happens, right? So I have these 4 scenarios, and if I am doing the login, let me see here, this load calculator. So I'm just running it. Now I can see what things are being executed in the hooks and so forth. So again, I'm just executing only one. So okay, so it ran very quickly. Now, if I see it here, I see before do, then positive scenario. Okay, so this is a before do. So if I look at my hooks, so I have this is 2 piece of line getting executed first because it's in the same order. So this one will execute it first, this one will execute it second. Okay, then I will have positive scenario passed and then after do. Okay, so if I come here, positive scenario passed, basically, right? This is this because I don't have any error, so it comes to this line and it says it's passed. Okay, and then finally I will have after do that is getting executed, which is at exit. Now you can put up at exit before the first, it doesn't really matter because at exit always runs at the end.
It doesn't matter
where it is in the code, it doesn't really matter. Now for this one, yes, it does matter because there is an order that you are running under the hooks. Now the same hooks, if you are using Java or C#, again, it works the same way. Okay, so there will be something where you can write your hooks and so forth, and it will work exactly in the order that is specified that you have. Okay, any question on the hooks side of things?
So what the art underscore that exit hooks does, what he does.
What is it? Here?
The first one. The
Yeah,
exit.
this is where you can put your database code and execute the SQL scripts to delete out everything from the database. This is where typically you will put it. So next time when you run it, database is, your test data is gone, all the whatever you created, and you can run over and over. Okay, conceptually, again, how you implement it is up to you, basically, because you can put really complex code as well. You can build on it. But conceptually, hopefully you guys understand how to apply this. And when it comes to the real time, that's where you will have, as a beginner, they're not gonna get you, hey, go create everything from scratch. Most likely you'll be working on a maintenance project. Okay, then once you get some experience, that's where you will start creating your framework, maybe start getting more understanding of the things and so forth. But you need to know, hey, where do I go if I need to put capture the error messages? Now you might have to create your own code to basically write to the log file, but you need to know how do I get the error back? If something fails, what do I do? Okay.
Can you explain one more time why we need hooks?
So every scenario, because then you are running this on a server, right? On nightly basis or something. You might have 1,000 feature files you're executing. You are not sitting there. You just want something in the email if something fails.
Right.
Right? In the big companies, you get notification. If the production things are down, you will get notification. Same way, same concept here. If something fails there, you need to know what failed. First of all, why it failed, and who to notify. And if you have to go back and look at those errors, where would you go and look at it? Because you get in the email maybe one message or something. You're not gonna receive all the full report. So that's where you want to put the logic around after do. Okay, or before do, or whatever you want. And those are some of the typical use cases. Basically, I just described you. And that logic you cannot put anywhere else. Can you put anywhere else? That logic? You cannot. You cannot put in your class files. You cannot put in your anything, right? Any class file. What do you have here? You don't have anything else, any place to put it. So that's when they created the hooks as part of the framework. So it runs before you run any scenario, runs afterwards. It's automatically there, that part of the framework.
You cannot put anywhere else.
I mean, otherwise, how would you do that? If you want to capture the error, you don't have any way to capture the error, basically.
So the hooks is all about capturing the error and.
Mainly is used for error handling, capturing the error, sending notifications, if something fails, because you need to know, right? That's the important part. I mean, they will ask you in the interview, where would you typically do that work?
The notification means they need that SQL to put that email.
Not the SQL. Notification meaning if something fails, you are as an automation tester, you need to know what failed so that you can go and fix it.
So,
Or you need to go and open a defect
so that
Right.
message will go to whom? The
to
notification.
whatever email that is being sent out. Generally, in the companies, they have a group. It goes to the group.
Mhm.
When group has maybe 5 automation testers, they all get notified. Basically, hey, this tests are failing.
The next day they can check the logs.
Yeah, check the logs and see why it failed and look at the detail.
If else and. Else and you-
This is a very simple code here. Just conceptually, I'm explaining you. But to send the email, what you need to do, you might have to write additional 10 lines of code,
Okay, or
right? And that one, it will capture the error, but you need to know how to capture the error, right? And this particular is capturing the errors.
Mhm.
And you can search on it to see what additional things might be available. Right? So how to get exception method thrown by one of this is SpecFlow, but you can say Cucumber. Basically, and Ruby as well, because in Java there is a different way you have to do it, and so forth. So you can basically just search on it and see, basically see if there is any other code available, which you can, this is a licensed one. Checking assertion, REST API. It's probably like Ruby version, okay? So you can see it, if scenario is failed, you can get additional things over there. Again, you need to do additional research and build that basically part of the logic. But I'm just going to keep it simple here for you to understand. This is a way you can retrieve the message and send it out. You can send out the same thing in the email as a text,
Okay.
even more.
Oh,
Okay, this, when you write, send email, you need to have an email person name, right? You're gonna specify it. It's because it's gonna be object, so, and then you have body, email body, where you can say this, put the message in.
Okay, we can directly put.
Yeah, you can put this message in, basically.
Otherwise, there will be for email notification, there will be some separate code for that one.
Yes, because you need to connect to the server, then you have to pass by the username, password, all those things, and then build the mail object. But the important part is the to or CC, right? You need to specify all those things, and then you will say the message, basically, in the body. Okay,
So system will not get confused with the keyword scenario and this scenario is argument or how we are passing.
why they would confuse? Because this is in the hooks.rb, right? This is a hooks, this is a built-in feature for the Cucumber framework.
So the name will be, we'll create the name like this only, hooks.rb.
Yeah, you have to create a hooks.rb. I mean, you can give like a you can put it in under env.rb as well. There is another file which I'll talk shortly. But hooks.rb is a file. That's where you typically put your hooks, basically.
Oh.
And if you look at the framework side of things, I think we talked a little bit here, right? What things goes in what file? So this is where hooks.rb, before, after hooks are there, right? This is where you would put that in. Okay. All right, any other things you guys have on this one?
little bit different.
Well, it's conceptually, is it clear or not?
So many things at a time. So.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, but you have to understand the hooks part. I mean, because it's nothing to do with the programming that you are doing. This is more about error handling. It's a required. This is required. Okay, this part is required.
So in after one that else, after else puts scenario dot name plus so that arrow equal to a that sign. So instead of that one, can we give space only?
Yeah, I mean, this is my code, right? So I can, you can do whatever you want. I can just do this, because
Okay.
whatever you want to capture, right? It's a
Means
coding.
whatever the error message is there, you just type it over there.
Yeah. It supports, right? So it's printing. Whatever you
Then
think.
we need to only space or we need to put something there.
No, it's again, whatever you are trying to do. You can put 1, 2, 3, who cares?
Okay.
It doesn't matter.
But we are doing the error message over
Yeah.
there. Whatever the error message is.
Here, I'm saying this scenario passed, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that I know, okay, this scenario passed, but the other scenario failed.
So this is mainly for handling the errors.
Handling error notifications and so forth, and database clearing.
Yeah.
That's with the at exit. Type of thing.
Error notification.
Yep. All right. Okay, so
And database.
we'll clearing,
Clearing.
that's at
Clearing
exit, that's a
of,
global hooks. Okay, now there are other things available in the hooks. Okay, but I don't want to confuse you, but let me quickly show you guys what it is.
Okay.
There are tags, tagged hooks and so forth. I don't think we went through the tags, so I'm not gonna do much, but let me just quickly go through that. There is a concept called tags as well. I think that was in there. Let me pull up that. That's a part of the second session. Yep. So let me quickly get you some idea about what it is. Step definitions. So step definition, we did not go through the tags, okay?
Oh.
Maybe we did, I think, I'm not sure. But let me just quickly go here because tagged hooks ties to the tag, basically with the step definition. So let me just quickly go through here. Okay, I think we went through, but let me just quickly cover it. So tags are nothing but you can organize your scenarios. If you have 1,000 scenarios and you want to execute only certain scenarios. So imagine you have a bash file where you have all this execute this scenario, 1,000 lines of code. But you don't want to execute all every time. You want to execute, maybe organize your scenarios and execute only some of them. So you can tag them using @electronics command right above the scenario.
Oh,
Okay, and then only execute. So here in this case, I have two scenarios called electronics. This particular scenario, second scenario here, has basically @slow, @electronics, and @nightly. First scenario has @electronics tag. So I can specify multiple tags, basically. Now, if you want to execute all the scenarios, you can just say execute, create that line of code, which I'll show you next, what it will be. But if you want to only execute nightly scenario, so you specify that additional parameter and say nightly tag. Execute the scenario that are marked with the nightly tag. So it helps you organize your scenarios a little bit further, and you can execute in certain organized manner. Okay, that's all the purpose of the tags. You tag each scenario with whatever, and this is the way and the tag name. That's how you can organize.
that's the syntax.
That's the syntax. Just write about scenario, you can put @electronics, okay, and then you can execute that scenario. Now let's take a look at what is it, the command. So here, this is how the command works basically. Running features in a subfolders. Okay, so this is the command line. This is also part of your it's in the second chapter that you have. Okay, so this, if you want to run any scenario, you can say Cucumber and then specify the feature name. Command line, at the command line. So I open the CMD, type in CMD, opens a window, and then I can say Cucumber, and then you can say what feature you want to run. So you can execute that way as well. Instead of running from the RubyMine, you can go to the Ruby command prompt and run this way, and it will work. Okay, if you want, I'll show you as well. Now, if you want to run a specific scenario with specific tag, you can say Cucumber --tag @electronics, basically. So it will run the scenarios with the electronics tag, basically all the scenarios that are marked electronics. So in our example, there are two scenarios here. They both will be executed. And if you have a hook setup and everything, it can dump out any errors to the file, which you can take a look at it and log file. Okay, so run Cucumber for selected scenario, which are marked with the electronics.
So what's the use of, I know where.
This is the command you will have, you create in a batch file, and you're gonna execute on nightly basis. This is how you will execute it on the server.
But how it's related to hooks?
No, hooks will be there, right? Hooks is part of the framework. So scenario knows because you are executing, hooks is part of the Cucumber framework. So you have installed Cucumber libraries, so it will automatically go and execute the hooks as part of your, when it executes the scenarios, it will, your hooks will be executed as well at the same time.
I think this is for the specific.
Scenario, running specific scenarios.
If you want something specific, then.
Yeah.
Anyway, you are running hooks, that is there, but this is for something specific.
Hooks will be executed automatically because it's part of the Cucumber framework.
So you're tagging the scenario.
This is the tagging.
Specified,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this is a particular scenario.
Yep. So here you are tagging it.
So
Okay.
hooks, hooks will be done automatically and tag we have to do ourselves.
Yes, tag is more mainly for organizing and executing specific scenarios.
Okay.
Now, I'm gonna show you hooks. I don't want to confuse you, but now the main reason I opened this one is because you need to understand what the tag is. Now I'm gonna flip back to the hooks part and see what additional things we can do with the hooks. So if I come back to the hooks PowerPoint. So there is a concept called tag the hooks.
Oh,
Okay, so that one is for scenarios. Okay, executing scenarios. Now, if you tagged it, right, you can pass those tags basically and apply the before do's for those tag the hooks, tag the scenarios as well. So assume your scenario has a at first and at second. So you mark the you have two scenarios, right? You mark one with the at first and at second scenarios in a feature file.
Yeah.
Okay, now if you want to do something specific for those scenarios, then you can say before, at first, at second, basically. So it will, this line of code before at first, at second line of code will only be executed for those two scenarios. Okay, it will not be executed for other scenarios. Okay, so you can do something specific. Again, I have not, this is not common, but it's available in the before do and after do, and everything is available for tagged scenarios. You can execute those hooks specific to those scenarios.
Art means if you want to tag, so art. Okay.
Yeah, at first, so here, what I mean by that is, let me come back to the example. So I'll go and write here some small.
it's maybe how you tag it for the same thing, right?
So here, not the so I'm going to feature file. And I'll say at positive scenario, right? I'm just giving some. Okay, now if I have a hooks, what I can do is I can say here at positive scenario.
So you have to specify that by tagging, then.
So this particular line will be executed only for positive scenarios. Now other things are not marked, then it will still be executed. But this line will be executed only for positive scenarios.
Now
Okay.
the tag is making so, bringing so clarity.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
now there are variations there, right? I mean, let's come back. Variations meaning you can do and or those type of logics. So here in this example, before at first, at second, before at first, comma at second. So it's an or condition. So it will be executed whether scenario as first or second.
Or second.
Okay,
Okay.
so now this scenario, again, the same concept apply, right? But there is an and as well. So this one is both in the quotes,
That means.
individual. Here, both in the quotes, single quote, basically, both were surrounded by quote, okay, by separated by comma. But here, individually they have quote.
If it's.
So if
and.
it's a first and second, then only execute this before do. Okay,
Oh,
so that's the catch. So you just need to get familiar with the syntax. There is a third one as well. So you can apply both or and and, just like same way you are applying those conditions. Both and or. So again, if you have time, play around with this if you want. But I would avoid it, focus on the main part, that's what we have. Because these are, it gets a little bit complex, right? Complex conditions, that's what it is. You can apply both and or and all those things. I wouldn't even go there, but you can play around with the before do, after do, and so simple hooks. Okay, because that's the important part. Okay, anything else hopefully you guys have the idea on this.
Completely different but needed.
It is needed, and I can give you guys 30 minutes if you guys want to practice hooks.
Okay.
Now or
Now or at home, it's up to you. You can mark it as a homework. And we can take a look at it on Thursday as well.
One example.
So example, so you need to create the hooks file, right?
Mm.
And simply just print out follow the exercise in the book that we have. I don't want to get you anything
This
complex.
one,
Book means.
do we have?
Yes. Yes, in the you have slide number 3, session number 3,
Three?
book session number 3. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just follow the example in there.
Yeah, we need to write. The same thing we can write in that.
Yeah, how about I provide you the hooks.rb and you can run it.
Yeah, it is there.
Right? You can run it. I'll provide you hooks.rb that I have, and you can run it and see if it you can execute on multiple scenarios if it repeats and understand. Okay, so that way, but you need to make sure you copy the code and create your own file under support folder, new hooks.rb and work through it. Okay, so that way,
This is the,
yeah, I'll send you the same thing what I have,
yeah.
and you can modify it if you
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Which examples?
Hooks.rb. No, I'm gonna send you this file.
It's not there in the slide.
This one is not there in the slide, but slide has multiple before do's, after do's, and so forth. Okay,
Mhm.
all right. So now let me cover one more thing.
Mhm.
So,
Because this one is also a little bit important. So far, right, we've been, if I look at here, let's come back to the login class. So far we've been kind of like a hard coding certain things.
Mhm.
So hard coding means I have this URL here, I have this username here, password here, Gtraining password again, all these things, right? So hard code, this is called hard coding. Because if I use something else and if something changes tomorrow, password changes, now I have to go back to the code and update it. If it's used in multiple places, again, it's a problem.
Mhm.
Okay, so instead of that, hard coding here, what I can do is in the support file, I can create a new file for env.rb.
Mhm.
Okay, and this is where I can define whatever I want. So in the env.rb, I can say URL. Now, if I define URL as uppercase, it's supposed to be a constant, right, in the Ruby. And so I know
what's
the,
that mean?
Constant means-
it means you cannot change the value,
Oh,
right? So that I know it's not changeable. So here I can say Azure, rflown.azure websites.net. So this is my URL. Then I can have as many things as you want. You can define it.
So it will stay in the NN.
It's just that- So all the
ENV.
M or N?
ENV.
The
N for Nancy,
Yes.
ENV, it's an environment. Or
Oh.
env.rb. So that is a file I'm creating. And then I put in my values here. This is a way to organize the code. Okay, organize the code and put the constant and other. Some instead of hard coding, I'm putting everything in one place. Same thing, I can say admin user name. I can verify here, and I can go like straining admin user password is equal training. And I can copy that for the dealer. Instead of admin, I can say dealer user, and then dealer user password. Okay, so now once I define it env rb, what I can do is I can update my class. And I can, instead of using these values, hard coding, I can simply say URL.
Oh,
Okay, so this URL object will variable will show up there, constant will show up there, and I can just simply say URL. So your code will look much nicer.
so you don't have to.
Repeat anywhere else.
Yeah. Training.
Yeah, yesterday here I can just change it to admin. If as soon as I type in admin, it said username. Okay, I select it, I can do admin again, password,
Oh,
right? So it makes it your code a lot cleaner.
so that's the use of NVR.
Yeah, that's the ENVRB.
But it's a good one.
Yeah, and the second part is, I want to talk about second part. Now you have required water, right? So ENVRB, so instead of now any class that I use, I have to say require water, right, for all these classes. So instead of that, I can get rid of it from there and put it here. So it is available to all the class files, all the files. This library will be included automatically. So you can just say whatever required libraries are. So if you are using Selenium, you can say required Selenium as well. So now I have 2 libraries that is included as part of my project. I don't have to specify it individually in my class files anymore. Okay, so that way my code is a little bit more organized. All the required libraries I can put in one place. I can put all the variables constant in one place, and all my code, I don't have to type in this username password anymore. Now you still need to manually say here. I can say URL again. I can apply to refer to this URL. So if something changes tomorrow, there is a new URL. I just go here and update here
So change
once.
it in the NV.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all I need to do. If the username password changes, I just update the password username here.
It's kind of copybook.
Yeah,
Copybook, I'm not sure, but yeah, I'd say organizing your code in it's a one place. It increases the maintainability of the code. Because now you can maintain your code without much changes. That's the concept.
Rather than defining
So-
all the
Yeah, Harshal, so if there is a mistake in environment, this one env.rb, then everything will be a problem.
Oh, yes, that's always the.
That's why you have to be very careful in this.
Very
Yeah.
careful in this one, yeah.
That is correct. I mean, if you have, let's say you typed in something, I'm gonna see red
Yeah.
line or something, I guess. Whatever, right? You
Yeah.
will see, when you
Yeah.
execute, I think it will show you errors.
Uh,
Let's see. Because it will not be able to compile sometimes, but I'm not sure if it takes it. Hey, it's still
We
executing.
didn't change the.
Ah, there you go.
uh,
So undefined method or variable, it says here.
let's do this one first, then we'll go.
Right.
That should be G training, X training, the dealer user.
Oh, yeah. G training, yep. There you go. Yeah, so, but. So again, this is a global file, right? So it's available in all your class files.
Oh, ENV
Yeah.
is the global.
ENV.
Yes, okay,
Yeah, ENV is available,
yeah.
it's just like hooks.
Mhm.
It's part of the framework. So ENV, whatever you type in, it's available to all the class. Okay. So this is easy part, I think. Do
Yeah,
you guys
this is-
understand easier,
yes.
right? Okay, that's
And it's a
good.
good one.
Yeah, because you need to start organizing the code at some point, and that's where you need this 2 files, hooks.rb and env.rb. So I'll let you work through it, because whenever you get chance, you can create something like this, env.rb, and add that in. All right. One more thing.
At the rate. Oh, the hooks, okay.
Yes, actually env is clear, but hooks is not clear.
Yes, so hooks, I think you guys can work through at home. I don't think it's that complex. Once you run the example, then it makes sense to you, which I'm pretty sure.
Also, need to remember that syntax, or the company will provide that syntax.
What syntax?
The hooks.
The hooks one.
No, you have to remember that, right? Basic, at least before do, you should be able to type that in, right? And then after do, that's why you have the slides as well. So you wanna keep that.
You said that the company has his own.
No, the framework.
Framework
So
is-
they might have created the logging, sending email. They might have, somebody might have created a library. That's how it works in company. Okay, you're not gonna create from scratch.
Mhm.
They don't wanna get you password and username either.
Okay.
So they will create a library and then say, oh, go create this class and call this method.
Oh, okay.
You will not even get username password or sending email. Okay,
Somewhere hooks is not clear, but I'm getting it, maybe will do exercise, it will be.
Yeah, I think that's fine, that's fine. Okay, so one last thing. What is it?
My mind is.
Don't overthink, I mean, you don't have to remember everything, okay? Conceptually, you need to know, okay, when to apply those things, then you have to figure it out.
Because it's part of Kukumba,
Yeah.
so Varsani Tarika doesn't mean we can remember everything.
Yeah.
But the best thing is you need to know where to apply. what is
Where to apply,
So,
right?
yeah,
That is the
that
main
is
part.
the step.
Where to apply is, that's the important part. Now, if you never heard terms hooks, then you're gonna struggle.
Correct.
And they will ask you in the interview, what is hooks? The basic question just to see if you really know. Otherwise, okay, so I'm gonna flip back because we did not finish this inheritance part yesterday.
Yeah.
There is a one small topic.
Parent, child,
Parent,
protected,
child.
no, protected, private, public.
No, so we went through the class part, right? But we stopped at the modules.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Now, it's not different, okay? So you guys know the class, I think you should be able to pick up the module very quickly. I'm fully confident on you guys should be fine. But let me quickly cover the conceptually. You may or may not use the modules, but you are using the modules. So like water, all the gem files that you are downloading, they are typically modules. So that SQLite, we saw that 2 columns,
Uh-huh.
the water, the 2 columns.
Mhm.
That's a symbol of how to include the modules, call the methods from the modules. Okay, so water library itself is a module. It's not a class. But module can contain classes. That's what, but how do you refer that? So we will talk a little bit here. What it is. So Ruby modules, they are similar to the classes. Okay, but they are not class, they are not object oriented. But what they do is that they hold a collection of methods. So if you don't want to create classes, you can just create the module, it dump all the methods in there. Methods, constants, and other modules and class definitions. So class definition, you can put it as part of the modules. That's what we are saying. When you say water column, then browser object dot new. So there is a browser class in the water module, and you are initializing the browser class by saying dot new. Okay, so but the module can contain classes as well. That's all I'm saying is module can contain classes plus anything else that you want to include. Okay. They are defined much like classes, but module keyword is used instead of the class keyword.
But it's not saying module can contain classes, it's saying module is similar to classes.
Similar to classes, okay? But but what it considers holds a collection of methods, constants, and
Yeah.
other module and class definitions. So you can include class definitions in the module as well.
But not classes.
No, class definition is a class, right? Unless you are saying instance method, it's calling the other classes and so forth. I mean, let me go through the example. It will maybe that will help you understand. So they are defined like classes. So how do we define class? Class and the class name and then there, right? So module you can define as a module name, and then that's how you can define it. The main difference is, unlike classes, you cannot create objects based on the modules. So you cannot say module.new. Okay, class, you can say class.new, you can create an object,
Object equals to
right?
class dot name.
But module you cannot initialize like that. Okay, you cannot create something like that. You cannot say module.new and it will create a new module instance. No, it doesn't work there. Nor you can subclass them. So you cannot inherit from the modules. So class supports inheritance. You can have parent-child classes, module you cannot do that. Okay, but there is a different way module works,
Oh, that's why it's written similar to. class.
similar to the classes. Okay, but there is some differences. We'll see what it is. Modules standalone, there is no module hierarchy of inheritance, right? Because I say it doesn't work. Uh, There are two major features with class possess, instance and inheritance. Module does not support them. Right, and that's what I just
No
mentioned.
parent child.
Yeah, no parent child. Subclass module can have none of them, right? No objects, no parents, no children, nothing. Module is a module. Now modules, what's the purpose of the module, right? Then, so two things. To act as a namespace, let us define the method whose names will not clash with those defined anywhere else. So generally, I don't know if any coding language, you have a bunch of functions that you are defining, but you need to organize it, basically. So you might have some set of libraries or functions related to certain things, but it could have same name as somebody else is working on as well. So what you typically do is you create a module, dump all the functions there, and you can have the same name functions in the second module. So it does not clash, basically, because they are defined in a different modules.
So with the same name, two people can use?
Yeah, but because they are two part of the two separate modules, you can still use it. Basically,
But both are same,
functions. The code function names, I'm just saying, or method name.
oh,
The logic may, you have exactly the same logic, which is perfectly fine. Yes, logic might be same as well, who cares?
Yeah.
But the names can be same as well, and multiple folks can write the basically same methods. You don't know because these modules are published all over the world. Basically, and somebody in India writing the same module, but they're gonna give different name of the module. Okay,
oh,
Why it will not class, you said?
it will not clash with because they are defined in a different module names. So one has a module name, module one, second one is a module two. If you have copy pasted both things, they will work same way.
different name, but contents are same.
Contents are same, which is perfectly fine.
So why we do that?
Because these are open source projects, right? So somebody publish the version, that's how typically versioning works. You have the same libraries, but then you have Ruby 2.7.4. It includes the same libraries, but somebody else gonna update them. And they'll publish again, same thing. They publish in 2.8, basically, new library, new module. Generally, all these libraries are like water. You have 3.7.4 installed on your machine. There are other versions of the same water module. Basically,
This is a very good feature.
yeah, it's a very good feature, but and that's how all the gems are typically modules.
So it can be used multiple places, right? That's the main.
Different
concept.
versioning, it supports versioning scheme and all those things are basically versioning as well. As I said, this is used mainly for programming a lot more than what you guys will be using, but you have to understand what it is and how it works. Okay.
But Harshal, if the module names are same, then what will happen?
No, it will not let you create same name modules. That's the part. Because
Yeah, that's the advantage.
that's the one. You will always have, you can have water name, but you will specify the what version it is.
So name, so module name should be different and the content could be same and.
Content can be same, but it might have a different version, and so. Okay.
Thank you.
Different version means the module different version, right?
Yes, it's modules, different versions. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the namespace. It acts as a namespace. Generally, concept of namespace in Java, it's an old concept. C# has the same thing. Same thing. It's you can call it as a consider as a namespace as well for the module. Now, it also serves two purposes, allows to share functionality between classes, which are called mixins, and I'll show you the example of mixing. Okay, so that the concept will clear a little bit clear. Now, just like now, what is the similarity? The methods. You will have methods. In addition to the module, have a module methods and instance methods. So class has a class methods and instance methods. Right? We did not talk about the class methods because you don't really use it. Same thing, module method, we wouldn't care much. Just as class method, they are prefixed with the name of the class. So the module methods are prefixed with the name of the module. Okay. Let's see the example so that it makes it clear. So module, and so this is the example of a sample module. So I have two variables or two constants defined. And I have two methods. Learning new, and this is a class method or module method called sample module dot learning new. So this is the instance method, this is a class, basically module method here in this case. Now, this is how you can access the module constants can be accessed using the scope. This two columns are scope variables, or is a scope signal. Hopefully, this one sounds familiar. Two columns and whatever you want to refer from there. So this is in water's case, you have water, two columns, and then you have browser.new. That's what you are doing. Here, this is the variable, so you can simply just referring to the variable from the module. Let me see if I have example of something different here. But that's for the variable, but I don't have any class here. That's the reason you are not saying class.new, basically. Okay. Let's see.
So that's not the class method then.
No, this is a module. This is a variable, right?
Yeah.
This is a variable, a instance variable defined in the module, but you are just referring to that, basically, like this. Okay, that's the way, unfortunately, you have to refer because they are part of the modules. Module method can be accessed using the dot annotation. So if I want to call learning new, I can say sample module dot learning new. Okay, and output is I am learning Cucumber from there. Now module instance method. Okay, so here this is an instance method, module instance method. Now learning instance method is defined which is learning new. Any code outside the module won't be able to see learning new method. Okay, puts learning new will not work basically. Okay, I don't think I have an example of this one, but let's see.
If it is instance method, then why it will not work outside?
So this method you have to refer to as like you cannot simply call that basically. It's kind of like because this is the one that when you can call like this, but this method you cannot basically use it. See, let me see if I have an example here. Okay, otherwise I'll show you here on the board. I may not have it in the slide here. Let me see. Let me check here. Okay, so this one. So let's talk about here. Included modules for mixing. So let me see here first. Okay, so let's read through it here. So module I have defined it. I have these two methods again. Same methods are there. Oh, this is talking about the class thing here. So included module. I don't have an example, but I'll show you. See if I can find it on the once we take a look at the code here. Okay, so instead of inheritance, right? We are saying the slash. You can include other modules basically using the include keyword. So I have two modules. I want to use the methods from the second module, then I can use include basically keyword. So let's see here. So I have a module, sample module, right? And I have a class here. In the class, I am including the module. So in the class, you can do that as well. So when I do that, all the methods that are available here will be available as part of the class. Okay. Now, why we do that? Why we do that, right? So that's the important part because I can do the class. But if you want to use the libraries that is available that you created, somebody else created, and they have put it in the sample module, then you can include into the sample class. Because this is a module, it's not a class. So you have to use it, include to basically access the methods that are defined in the module. Okay. So not only the methods of this class access the learning new method. So right. So this, as I said, this learning new will be available here, and you can start using it as a class method right away. So that one you can basically any object that you create will be accessible from there. So it's more like a public method. It will become a public method from there. So So here in this example, I have this one, so I can say object is sample class dot new, and then I can call learning new method, basically, because this sample module has a learning new method, so I can call it as a class method. So now this is called a concept of mixing. So I'm mixing with the class and module. That's what the concept of mixing is. Now, why we use this one, right? So generally, classes don't support multiple inheritance. It's true in Java, C#, any other programming language. What is multiple inheritance? So I cannot have class child, it inherits from the parent only, one parent. You cannot have two parents, right? So multiple inheritance is not supported in the object-oriented world, only one parent child. That's where you apply mixing type of concept. You can inherit from the class, you can have parent, plus you can have other modules included. So you can do mixing. This is the concept of mixing. It supports it. One class can inherit from another class, plus you can include multiple modules. You're simulating kind of like a multiple inheritance. That's what it is basically concept is about. Okay. I know it's difficult to understand the concept, but it is available. I don't know, practical usage for you guys may not be that much.
But theory we should.
Yeah.
This is the available concept. I have not seen much usage in the automation. Okay, test automation. But it is available, this mixing. This is called mixing. So let's see, if I have one module, second module, then I have class. I can inherit child from the parent, plus I can include other two. So all these methods, rest classes, parent method will be available in the child class.
That means methods are more dynamic than the.
Well,
classes.
you organize your code better, right? You separate out certain code in the module, certain one in the class. And then you include everything in the child class. So child class is more like aggregate of all the methods. Child class with the vacation places, rest places, parent method, as well as its own method. It's again how you organize your code. Okay, because this child class has a child class method, right? Now I can call any of this method, all these methods are available in the child class. Okay. So again, name calling, there is no protection, but module methods can help protect the code from the accidental name. Again, it's mainly related to the organizing your code. Okay. Now, why we use this require at the top? In order to use the modules or gems, this is what the syntax is. That's what you are doing for the water module and Selenium module.
Oh, okay.
This
Okay,
is why you put it at the top, right? So you can
Okay,
include the functionality of that module.
Mhm.
So essentially, you are including the water module functionality. That's why you can call those water column and browser object is available in your code.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the reason. Because hopefully that gives you some idea why you do some certain things, right?
It's not a good one.
What is
So confusing.
The
Well,
module.
module is a little bit confusing because there are class and then there is a module.
Yeah.
But it is available in all the programming libraries, right? If Java has, you can create the modules, it doesn't call module, but it just calls like function libraries. You can write a whole bunch in one big file, you can have all these different functions which you can call it from the different places.
So its main purpose is to just.
Organize the code, yeah, organize the code. Plus support multiple inheritance, simulate multiple inheritance, okay? Because that is not available generally in most of the programming.
Mhm.
Okay, so module, as I said, you can conceptually understand, but practically it's class, object-oriented programming. That's what we focus on. Okay, but you understand the require, right? Require, why we include require? Because it's all gem libraries that you have, is technically they are modules. Okay, that's the reason we use the required. Okay, any question on so far? So we talked about hooks. Today we talked about hooks, right? We had environment RB and then we have module part, which is a small portion.
So require is a keyword or require?
Requires a keyword, right? So that's the reason we include in our program here, right? Require, because we are including the water library. Now, if you want to use Selenium, we have to say require Selenium because this is what we install. So when you say gem install Selenium, you are installing this particular library gem, or it is technically a module. Those are modules basically. Now Selenium module can have classes, other code and all those things, so which are available in your program. Okay. So in order to understand that part, you have to go through the module and understand a little bit. Okay, so we come back to our exercises. So has everybody what? So you're still having issue, but you were able to complete. You were able to complete. Online folks who completed the yesterday's exercise. Water, at least one water end-to-end working.
Yeah, I'm almost there, but I have not run. I was scared.
Yeah, I'm still, yeah, same.
I'll
I'm
run
still-
now, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna run now so that if any mistake, you can help me.
Okay, so I'll give you guys 15 minutes to wrap up. Okay, and these guys will take a break here, or they will take a look at what we have available,
Yeah.
right? 15 minutes to wrap up, and then we'll talk about Selenium part. As I said, it's not a complex piece, but I want to go through that today so that you can continue working on Saturday and we can review those exercises.
Sure.
Okay, so if you have issues, just plan to share it and we can take a look at it. All right, once you run it.
Sure.